Former senior advisors to his campaign, has found himself front and center in the Russia story. On Friday, he testified before a closed session on the House Intel Committee. Michael Caputo joins us now. Good to have you with us, sir. Welcome. Good evening to you.
Hi. Thanks for inviting me.
Absolutely. So how would you characterize your interrogation by the House Intel Committee on Friday?
Well, I'd say thorough. I also think it sounded a lot like a fishing expedition. But I also think it feels a little bit fair. Mm-hmm. I mean, to me, I expected to go in there and be treated very poorly by the Democrat side. I watched the same public hearing that everybody else did. In that public hearing, Representative Jackie Spear called out my wife for some reason, which is supposed to be off limits. And, everything since then has been really negative. But, I expected to have, Representative Schiff, for example, be, rude or whatever. But, he was a gentleman. They treated me, very strongly, and they were very direct in their questioning. But I felt ultimately it was fair. Do
you think they believed you when you said, you never heard any discussion about Russia or working with Russia towards any end in the campaign? Did they believe you?
I don't know. Representative Schiff has a poker face for sure, mm-hmm. and he was very direct in his questioning, as I said. But I don't think they're really looking that much to believe me. I think they're looking for reasons to extend this as long as they can. Mm-hmm. I mean, we know from Shattered, the book that was published after the election about Hillary Clinton's campaign, that her top team met the day after her failure on Election Day and decided that the Russian collusion delusion was going to be the way that they tied Donald Trump's hands. And they've been pretty successful with that. I expect they want that success to stay, to keep going as long as possible. So I think they want this investigation to last perhaps
all right. I mean, one of the things that certainly helped to fuel that was this email chain that was found with Donald Trump Jr. And you have said, Corey Lewandowski, who I know you're not a huge fan of, you guys were sort of on opposite sides during the campaign, but both of you, very strongly came out and said there was never any discussion. Spent a lot of time in the campaign, a lot of time near the president. Nobody brought up, this idea of this being a good way to sort of help win the election until everybody saw this email. And Donald Jr. himself had said, I never had any conversations with the Russians. So now it undermines the credibility of that statement. And now they wonder, well, who else hasn't told us everything they know and who was in the room? It does fuel this, no?
It does. And each one of us is kind of a frog in the water, and this kind of thing turns up the heat on all of us, those of us who find ourselves in the jackpot of this investigation. And, sure, I guess it extends the life of it. Perhaps it makes it more complicated for us. But I'm satisfied with Donald Trump Jr.'s candor when he kind of took blame for it and mm-hmm. said he would have done things differently. I've always respected Donald Trump Jr. and all of the kids. I have to tell you, if this makes it tougher on us, it's okay, because here's the thing. Donald Trump Sr. would not be president today without the hard work of Donald Jr. and his siblings. And if he made a few mistakes here or there, I think the country and myself, I can forgive him for it.
Oh, interesting. So one of the people that I find very interesting all this is Rob Goldstone. And I heard an interesting documentary on his background. I mean, it's kind of weird that he would send this email and say, oh, they're going to give you the goods, right? And who knows what Donald Trump Jr.'s, intonation. Emails can be kind of deceiving. When you look at the words on the paper, he said, oh, well, if that's what they have, I love it. If it is what you say, right? So do you think, what do you know about Rob Goldstone? Does he have credibility with you?
I'd like to have a beer with him sometime. He seems like a pretty interesting character. But,
he's an interesting character, all right.
Absolutely. And the Trump family and the Trump organization was surrounded by characters. It was that kind of business development and Hollywood and branding. And people like Goldstone weave themselves in and out of this kind of a world all the time. I mean, he's a promoter. And that is certainly, I don't know much about him. I think he was close to the family in some way. And so when an intermediary that was familiar to him sent him an email, I think that helped Donald Trump along the path of making that mistake. But I mean, I got to agree with the president on this. When we had opposition research offers coming across the transom, a flow of it coming in at a rate I've never seen in the 30 years of my campaign career. I've never seen anything like it. They were coming across the transom across every platform. Everybody was getting this stuff. So you have to understand why all of us were looking for a way to defeat Hillary Clinton. And you got to understand why Donald Trump Jr., who doesn't have a lot of experience in campaigns, can fall into this kind of a situation.
I understand what you're saying. Do you think there's anything more here? I mean, that once again becomes the question. Is there a connection? The only thing that anyone's ever boiled down this Russian hacking potentially to, and I know that you say you do think that they were involved to some extent, are these emails, the embarrassing emails from John Podesta, and that's what, as you pointed out, Hillary Clinton's campaign believes was integral to them losing at, sort of in the last leg of this campaign. Is there an email out there that shows any connection between anyone in the Trump campaign that you know of and any discussion about emails or releasing those emails?
Certainly none that I know of. None of my emails will show this. I know I had nothing to do with colluding with the Russians. Nobody ever said the word Russia to me in the entire time I worked on that campaign. I never heard it discussed by other people. I can't imagine that Roger Stone or Paul Manafort did anything like this. I've known these guys for 30 years. I'm a bit surprised to find out about Donald Trump Jr.'s emails, and I think that it's important for, for the investigators to get to the bottom of this, because
Caputo.
we want American people to understand that there's nothing to it.
Thank you very much, sir. Good to see you tonight. Thanks for coming in.
Thank you.